Good morning, everybody.
A rainy morning here, but I'm having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Stephen, where are you at physically?
Vancouver Island.
Okay. Is it raining up there like crazy right now by chance?
It's not.
It's not, yeah.
It's sunny and 17.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it is none of those
It is
things.
neither
here.
of those things here.
Yeah, yeah. We're in Baltimore and it's like, just a gloomy, dreary day. But anyway, welcome, Stephen Davis. I cannot wait to get into this because, we love our gadgets here, man.
And yeah, we're at the end of the day, we were called tech bro biohackers, and I'm like, I have issues with every one of those words.
Yeah. Yeah, we are tech folks though, for sure. I don't know if that's like our like bio curious side or just we're dudes side. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, we like toys.
Yeah. So walk us. I mean, this is a cool product you have, and I can't wait to talk about that. But what got you to having a product and what drove that?
Well, first off, I'm not a doctor, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh man,
no problem.
Awesome. Man.
I was just a desperate dad, and so my daughter was sick for 12 years.
Oh shit!
And the first 8 years, we chased everything except Lyme. And in that 8 years, she had 2 sons, and they both had significant health issues. One was diagnosed to be autistic, and the other one was just ADHD off the charts, where it was hard for schools to contain him. So the last school, they said, if he doesn't get on Ritalin or something, he's not going to be able to attend. And my daughter wouldn't do that. And so 8 years into it, I had a university run some tests on my daughter, and they said that they think that she may have Lyme, they may have Lyme disease. And my response was, what's that? Like nobody's talking about it. This was in 2016. Or no, yeah, it was 20. Man, it's so long ago. But
right.
Nobody was talking about Lyme. And so, but as a family, we were happy because here now we know what it is. Now we're going to go out and correct it. Well, 2 years later, tens of thousands of dollars later, we were in the same basket as everybody else because we went and did the same thing as everybody else. I mean, and nobody's getting better, but those are the only options to even try.
Yeah.
And so we just decided to just stop and start to build our own tech. I knew a little bit about frequencies because we were using frequencies to balance the brain, using musical tones.
Sure. Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I'm giggling there, Stephen. Matt and I have had similar conversations with I don't know, 20 people on the show, and it always seems to come back to frequency, which is always funny.
Including an experiment Tom's doing right now with a 28-day binaural type situation to offset a little chakra deficiencies.
Issues. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just interesting because he was on the show talking about it, and you do this 90-second talk, and he just tells you all this stuff about you.
Into a voice message. Yeah.
But frequency is the counterbalance to that, interestingly.
Yeah.
Well, everything is frequency based.
Yeah. Lots of frequencies, it would seem.
Well, it doesn't matter really what it is. The delivery systems are pretty important, and people don't quite understand that if you take a supplement, that's just a delivery system for frequencies. If you take a tincture from a homeopathic doctor, that's just water, alcohol, and imprinted frequencies. If you take a cream with CBD oil in it, the cream is now the delivery system for that frequency. Everything is frequency driven. Frequencies have been since the beginning of time. So past, present, and future. Einstein got it close. He said frequencies are the future of medicine. And it wasn't the future, it was the then and the past. Because everything's got a frequency. And so it's really interesting when we started to discovering these things. First off, let me just tell you a little bit about the tech on how we came up with this.
Yeah,
please.
Very curious there.
We built a chamber, which is not too much. It's about the size of this glass. And it's sealed, and you can seal it. And whatever we put in it, we can, from plant matter, we can excite that plant and it releases its frequencies, and we grab them. And then we get rid of the noise we don't want. And so that's how we ended up going down this path. So for Lyme, it took 74 different plants before we ended up nailing it.
Wow.
And these aren't individual plants trying to find one frequency. These are a combination of 74 different frequencies.
Wow.
And they don't combine. Like, the frequencies stay individual. It doesn't matter how many you put together. One might cancel another one out, but they never combine. And so 74 different frequencies going into the body at exactly the same time. We learned how we first looked at how are we going to penetrate the body. And we thought, well, you know what? Let's go through the skin. The body's been designed to retain light, to absorb light. And so that's the penetration point. Then we learned that your cells, they've been designed to retain low energy light. And you got to remember, a frequency is only information. Like, it's not like we're putting a substance in the body. We're just communicating with the body in a very unique way. And we do it at a cellular level. So nobody can hear anything that we do except your cells. And when we pass that information past your cells, if they need that information, they pick it up and they retain it. And as it goes through your nervous system and into your immune system, it wakes up your immune system to the issue that it's ignoring. It's like the very first vaccine that was ever invented. They used that to wake up your immune system to a health issue it was ignoring. And so that's what we did. And we're waking it up on all kinds of issues. When it comes to Lyme disease, we deal with Lyme, all the co-infections, mold, and parasites. If you don't deal with parasites, you'll never deal with Lyme.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because this is something, I'm an acupuncturist, and I see all these chronic health issues, especially on the East Coast here. Lyme is rampant.
That's right.
And a lot of people, even Western doctors, right? It's the doxycycline for 6 months, and then you should be good. But all of these people are developing chronic autoimmune disorders, and a lot of people don't even look at those co-infections, let alone see other, what I would say is, predatory type infections where they're taking advantage. Oh, now you're weak, so the mold can get in. Now you're weak, so the parasites can get in. Yeah.
That's right, because those aren't even co-infections.
Yeah.
Anybody can get a parasite. Everybody can get a parasite. They're just, because your immune system is so compromised that they come in and attack. And so it's interesting. But what happened was, we did the program. We ran our first trial because I've learned how to stack frequencies on top of light. So on the back of our little device, so this is the device. Let's see if we can get a...
Yep.
And so we call it Nikki. And on the back of it, it's got a red light. And this is not red light therapy. We use red light. We stack our frequencies on top of that red light, on that wave, and it carries everything into the body. That's how we get it in to the body.
So you're just picking, I mean, do you have to just pick I use a Violite every day, and it's like, I think 630 nanometers or something like that. It's just, and you stick it in your nose kind of thing, and it kind of like hits that vascularity in there. But that's just like a one specific nanometer of light. Are you just sort of piggybacking on that and just yeah, got it.
With lots of frequencies. You can't treat Lyme or most things with one pill at a time. Like, you can't do it. And so what we learned out of this is it took 74 different frequencies to deal with Lyme disease. You guys,
wow.
We don't put it to sleep. The body deals with it and it gets it out of your system. It's gone. It'll never come back. The only way it'll ever come back is if you get reinfected.
So it starts working sort of like first dose kind of thing, right? Like, I mean, is that accurate?
Yeah. How long is this like, is this, I'm wearing that, because you're saying it's clearing it. So I'm assuming at some point you don't need the band for that anymore.
That's right. Well, there's two sides to every coin.
Yes, of course.
And so the first side here is, we used to have a 30 day by 30 day by 30 day program. So 90 days later, you're going to be feeling pretty good. But those first 30 days are pretty intense. The second 30 days are pretty intense because you're getting lots of die off And if you don't have
so people do
training,
have a Herxheimer reaction then.
they can, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And that just depends on how easy things are flowing out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
If your body can't get it out of your body, or it's not going to, it's going to be very uncomfortable. So your limbs get plugged up, you got no drainage, and that's where the Herx comes in, because the body's trying to get rid of something and it's uncomfortable.
Do you guys have sort of ancillary protocols, like jump on a trampoline while you're doing this, or something to kind of like
lymphatic drainage, or one of those vibration plates or something?
No, what we did is we had a few people that would come in and say, I can't wear it. It's just too powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, it's not hard for us. Why don't we build a system, a program for people that are more sensitive? And so instead of doing 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, we did 1 minute of detox and drainage, 1 minute of Lyme and all the co-infections, and then 60 minutes of frequencies that are rebuilding your system, because regardless of how long you've had Lyme, your system is damaged.
Yeah.
And you need some time to heal. And so we help with that. The second day, you go 2 minutes by 2 minutes by 60. And we want to get you to 30 minutes by 30 minutes by 60. And that happens in 30 days. In 45 days, people are feeling pretty good. But they're still not where they want to be, because now you just need to let your body have some time to heal. Mm-hmm. But once that goes through, it took my kids 90 days. And it was like somebody just turned on a switch, and they were back. Like it was profound. My daughter went back to university and got her teaching degree. My 2 grandsons, one is being groomed for the Olympics in 2028 for swimming.
Wow.
The other one is just got picked up by a university for pitching in baseball. And
wow.
Like they're just flourishing. And everybody that uses our tech seems to do well. We have had a few returns, but those same people will purchase it back within the first 30 days, because they go, oh my goodness, it was
working.
So can I ask you, like, it's a set protocol. People are not wearing this 24/7.
No. Okay. The maximum you would wear it is 2 hours a day. And that's after you've hit the 30 minute mark, or the 30-day mark.
Now, is that timing unilateral for, I mean, I saw on your site, you have a different protocol for allergies and stuff like this. Like, is it sort of different for each thing you're trying to address, or is this sort of reasonably like consistent across all the different?
No, everything's different. So we learned how to do this with Lyme. Lyme is tricky, and nobody has solved Lyme. You can take, if you catch it within the first 10 days, well, chances are you're going to be able to deal with it with an antibiotic. But after that, you're hooped. All of these Rife machines and all of these other ways of
now, all right, you're mentioning Rife now. Okay.
You know what?
It's like the fourth episode in a row Rife comes up.
I believe in frequencies. I believe in those technologies, and they've got a place. But they can't deal with Lyme. If they did, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation today, because I would have been continuing on with life and had my family back. But that didn't quite work that way. And like I said, those machines, they're great. Frequency technology's great. It's just that there's different functions for different things. Like you'll take red light therapy, and they just pulse it at different rates to get
Is that where they get the frequency? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, for red light, that's just red light. That's just red, the color red.
Okay, but there's no, even with the pulsing, that's not creating a different frequency. Clearly not of the light.
Yeah, not for Lyme disease. It's got a place for whatever they're using them for, but not for Lyme.
Okay.
So what we learned is when you take 74 different frequencies and bundle them together and deal with a disease like Lyme disease that the world has not been able to deal with, we found that very interesting. And so what we started to do is to take that same process, that same thinking, and applying it to sleep and stress, fatigue, arthritis, allergies. It just doesn't stop. And when you take that approach that we did with Lyme and apply it to those other things, we knock it out of the park. I don't know of a sleep program that's going to help you better than ours. We have 202 different frequencies going into your body at exactly the same time while you're sleeping. And so we're rebuilding your sympathetic. What happened to you during the day, we're going to correct during the night, because that's when your parasympathetic kicks in. And with people with Lyme disease, I don't think that their vagus nerve is active. I know their parasympathetic is dead. It's done. And so there's no way that they can heal naturally. If your parasympathetic isn't working, neither is your natural healing abilities that the body has built in. And so that makes it really hard for people. So I think that's why we take the medication we take during the day, because we're forcing a healing action with the body, when you could be getting a lot of that at night if your vagus nerve is active.
So that is one way that you would wear it all the time. You said the max you'd want to wear it is 2 hours a day. I assume that the sleep one has a different.
Or does it just shut itself off for sleep?
The 2 hours a day is only for Lyme disease.
Got it.
Everything else you can wear for as long as you like. I wear mine. Look, I've got them all over.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I wear them 23 hours a day.
Right.
And I get up in the morning, throw them on the charger. By the time I get ready for work, they're charged. It's a quick charge. It usually takes 10 minutes to charge them.
Oh, that's fast.
And that's really fast. Well, we're an impatient society.
Yeah, for sure. I know all about that.
Do a repeat. But things are about to shift for our company as well.
That sounds exciting.
Because what we did in the beginning is we built a program for Lyme that has 10 different programs in it, and they deal with the issues of Lyme. Then we built a program which is general wellness, and we put 10 programs in it. So you've got sleep and anxiety and pain, and you got 10 of them. And that's how we started. But we're just getting ready to launch something really interesting. You're going to be able to create your own playlist. So when I used to get on a plane, for example, I would look at my Nikki and I'd say, okay, do I want to be stress-free or do I want to be healthy? And so you have to choose. Now you don't have to worry about that. You can create your playlist, and I can put in my daytime. I can put all of those programs that I want to run during the day in one program, so you know they're all running, so you don't have to choose. And you do the same thing for night. That's going to be profound, you guys, because people want to make their own choices depends what's going on during the day. Like I put my stress and anxiety on because I knew I was coming on this.
So is that a function? Is that a function of the fact that you're already using this Lego approach with these frequencies, so that stacking whatever we stack, it isn't really matter at this point, because we know that stacking is effective, and so I can literally just hit stack one of this and stack two of that.
That's right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Can I ask a little bit more? Like, so the delivery system here, right? The band is on. It's not all red light. What is happening? How are these frequencies? Because it sounds like they're coming from the research from Rife and everybody else that was in this vibrational kind of space. But where like, is it vibration? Is it, vibroacoustic? Is it magnetic? How are we delivering these frequencies?
Well, we start at an analog base.
Okay.
And so that's where we begin. Our technology will excite the plant in an analog atmosphere, and we grab that noise.
Okay.
Then we grab that noise, and then we can clean up that noise so we can take what we want. For example, if you in Canada in 2020, I think there was like $300 million invested in companies trying to create a synthetic psilocybin. And they were doing that so they believe they can produce serotonin and it's going to help with depression. And when I heard that, I thought, well, I don't know how. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I was just a desperate dad, but I think very logically. And so I say, well, why have something synthetic when I can grab the actual frequency? And so I grew magic mushrooms, got them to a point, put them in my chamber, captured the psilocybin frequency, put it on the Nikki, voila, we create serotonin. And the interesting thing is when you do it the way we do it, it's impossible for the body to OD itself. So it'll only produce...
Because it's only taking what it needs.
That's right.
Yeah, interesting. Were you like an electrical engineer or something prior to, like, what, how, you know, this is
how did you get to
this is an obscure,
I understand the desperation, but
this is an obscure thought path. I think we could all agree on that. Like, this isn't like, most people aren't going to come up and think about, you know, plant extraction chambers and yada yada. Like,
I ran into a guy who was playing with something similar.
Interesting.
And said, hey, why don't we try it on this? And it worked. And so we started building from there. We've been doing this since 2016 was our first trial. And it's taken some time. This isn't just something that, you know, you develop overnight.
No, totally. But I mean, like, I guess I just want to make sure I'm totally getting this, because then I've got a lot of like fun observations, I guess, after that. So you're saying you take the frequency in this discovery process in the chamber and you essentially fingerprint that. You're like, okay, this is the frequency that X is at. And at that point, is it just infinitely replicable? Like, if I can replicate this frequency, I'm essentially doing the same thing. Is that been your experience?
Yeah, you can replicate those frequencies just by grabbing. It's only coming from plant matter.
No, I get it. But like, for example, like I was talking to Tom before this. I've had some digestive issues, so I've been eating some liquefied ginger in the morning with water, and it makes a great difference in nausea, right? Like, and so I'm like wondering, you know, is there a version of this story in the future where you're basically got a whole grocery store full of plants in there that you're like, hey, I need to take some ginseng, or I need to take some,
like I'm going to take the essence of,
like ashwagandha, if people are having mood or issues, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, is there a limit to what we could do here?
There's not a limit.
That's wild.
You know, and as you mentioned, talking to somebody who's doing something similar, I won't mention the product on the show, but I'm going to ask you before we cut off, because I have something sitting over here in my box of toys that I was like, oh, I bought that, and I think they told me they were going to get into the realm of psychedelic frequencies, which is why I bought it. Now they never did.
Yeah.
Well, even when you take the psychedelic frequencies, you're not having the same effect. Like, your body's not using that information and getting you high, because it's the physical components that are contributing to that. So when we produce psilocybin, it's not, you're not going to get high from it. You're not going to change your state. You're just going to change your mood.
Well, and reality is like, you know, at least in my personal experience with psychedelics, is that it's not necessarily the trip that is the therapy. It's the downstream of the trip, you know, like, so serotonin, you mentioned serotonin, you know, serotonin is obviously quite important to mood and depression and all that stuff. So if you can get that effect, then the trip was just sort of, I don't want to say the fun part, but it's like, just comes along for the ride, right? Like, it's sort of a byproduct of the experience. You don't necessarily need to trip to have that effect.
That's right.
Right. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, though. That part's
we removed the fun.
Yeah, I was just like, well, that part's not unfun. Let's be clear.
But that's not the horrible part.
Yeah, that's not the horrible part, right? But at the same time, though, I can absolutely see it. Like, you know, I have kids, and if they were struggling with like a mood thing or whatever, and I knew that throwing them on a microdose of LSD would help an adult, I'm not so cavalier with kids, and I know there's an entirely new, issue there. And we saw this in cannabis with Charlotte's Web and pediatric epilepsy years ago, right? Like, I mean, here you have this strain of cannabis that like nearly instantly stops, that storm raging in a child's head, but like, you have to get them high, like, and that sort of poses a big issue, but not for a lot of parents. A lot of desperate parents with kids with epilepsy moved to Colorado like instantaneously for this exact reason, because they're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm a desperate parent. You got to just make it better. But I can see there being a huge market on the other side of that. You're like, oh, we can do the same thing, except you wouldn't get high. You're not getting high. You're not tripping. You're not doing anything.
That's right.
And so you're telling me I could stack 100 of these suckers on top of each other and there's no like, the cup's not too full?
No,
yeah, like you're not overwhelming.
It's hundreds.
But that's crazy.
Yeah. Like Dr. Klinghardt, I don't know if you guys know who that is.
I do not.
I do.
Well, Dr. Klinghardt, he's one of the top Lyme doctors in the world.
That would make sense.
And he told me a long time ago, he used to sit on my board, and he said, stack as many frequencies as you can stack. He said, put as many frequencies into the body as you can get in, because the body's only going to use what it needs. And if it doesn't use it, it just falls on deaf ears. Like there's no...
And it just vibrates through you? Just no side effect?
There's no vibration.
Well, I mean, not literally, but like it just kind of...
It doesn't, yeah.
It just goes through you.
The frequency does nothing.
Yeah, you don't, if you want a wow factor, you have to have a wow issue.
Sure.
Yeah,
People with Lyme issues have wow issues.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
They have wow factors. But people that want to sleep, those are wow factors as well. People with wow factors. And we're seeing the response. We're getting some pretty good traction in the US from the practitioner community. And that's extremely good. I just did an event, and there was 1,500 practitioners there. And the same event I did last year. And practitioners were coming up to my booth already wearing Nikki's. They've been wearing them for a year.
That's so funny.
Because see, what happens is a lot of times, I'm guilty of this. I'll buy a technology thinking that, it's going to do all these things. And then you put it on and you don't notice anything. And then it sits on your nightstand and it never gets picked up again.
Tom's got a box.
I'm about ready to reach for the box.
Tom's got a box. I've got a drawer here with like 100 things in it. Trust me, I know all about it.
Well, people use the Nikki because
that's so funny.
And they're having to make a hard choice because a lot of people like their Apple Watches and such, and their other tracking devices and their Oura rings and so on. And so it's for them to be wearing two devices. They're having a profound effect.
If I'm a guy,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say, what's the benefit of having? How many did you have on there? 5?
Yeah.
Well, I do. I usually wear 6.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I do it for a couple of reasons. Sometimes I'm just testing firmware because we've made some changes, or I'm testing other people's products, for example. So here's what we do really, really well, you guys. We can capture the frequency of a supplement. Put it on a Nikki, and when you take the supplement and run the Nikki at the same time, efficacy goes way up.
Well, I would imagine.
Parts. And if you take the frequency of that, you're going to get a good result with or without the supplement. But it's when you take them both, the end user gets the real power behind it. And that's intriguing to me because I take a pile of supplements every day, right? And some of them, like you, I experiment a lot. So like a lot of times these supplements are just sort of, let's see what happens.
Let's kick the tires.
Yeah. Nano-Eyes hydrogen is what I'm taking right now. I honestly, I don't really feel much with it, so this might not make the thing, but I'm like, try it out. But that's one of the many things. If I love the idea that could possibly be imprinted into a frequency where I don't have to take a fistful of these things, Right.
I can treat 50 different things. Well, we don't treat. We always wake up your immune system. That's what we do. And we've learned by doing this to wake up your vagus nerve. And, people with Lyme disease, their parasympathetic is at 0. It's just not working.
We had the inventor of Sensate on the show, and I use that every day too. And
Sensate's a good one too.
I really love it. It basically uses your chest cavity as a microphone to sort of do vagal toning, right? And
he wasn't calling it a vagal stimulator. He was very clear
it's basically toning. It's like basically doing reps in a gym for your vagus nerve. And I just my experience with that product, like I can tell you, like my fight or flight has been significantly tamped down as a result of that. And like I just have a general overall sense of sort of more calm than I had before. Again, it's subtle, but I lead a pretty high charged life, and that was basically 20 hours of anxiety that ran that, a day.
So is it a wearable, or?
You put it around your neck like a necklace, and it actually, there's these sound like playlists.
Yeah.
And it'll change all these sounds. There's no audible sound. It's just a vibration.
Oh no, you can listen to the track.
Well,
too,
they have a meditation
vibrate
track
to the track.
Yeah, but I don't listen to the track because I'm actually
You're doing other things.
I'm doing other things. So I
but
don't,
it's good.
you can.
Like if we're gonna stack devices, I normally put my Muse on when I have the Sense 8
Yeah,
on, so
exactly
I
right.
like listen to that as exterior audio.
And we've had Ariel on the show several times, who does the Muse headband, and
my new one's coming today.
And like, there's a lot of it's great to be able, and I'd actually be very curious to wear Nikki on a stress thing with my Muse on, because now you have an EEG directly to your brain, which can measure that like theta state, delta. I mean, what are they measure like 4 waves disparately.
Well, not only that, heart rate, and now the new one is blood flow to the brain. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, the new one actually will measure the blood flow to the right and left front temporal lobe during a meditation, which is just wild to me that they can do that. But it'd be fascinating to like stack Nikki on top of that and see what happens.
Well, when we first came out, what we were going to do is partner with all of the tracking devices, like your Apples, your Fitbit, no-name brands. But when COVID came, we lost access to the chip. And so I had to cut a different, our device before Nikki, you could strap on your thigh, your forearm, it didn't matter, but it never fit your wrist. That's not what it was about.
Oh, I gotcha.
But we had to go to the wrist because I had to make a deal with the manufacturer that made watches, because they had the chips.
Oh, so now it becomes a wrist thing, yeah.
And so now all my joint venture partners, we're all competing for real estate.
Yeah.
So that just made it a little difficult. But we've got some pretty good traction in the sports world that we're moving in towards. Like frequencies, I'm telling you, our tech is easy and we're lazy. I mean, they are. I mean, like, I know if I have to do too much work on a device, you're not consistent. With Nikki, you can be consistent. So I can activate your vagus nerve and your parasympathetic while you sleep. That's when you're going to heal. And all you have to do is put on the Nikki. You don't have to worry about any other kinds of things that you would normally have to do to try and activate.
So I noticed, so 2 sort of, I guess, functional questions here. One is, if I was not a Lyme disease person, let's say I just had killer allergies and I was pissed off and wanted to get rid of them, right?
I want to kick the tires with that, just for that alone.
Well, Tom was just, right. Tom's bitching about his allergies just the other day.
I mean, I feel my eyes burning right now.
Yeah. So, but like, is that like I just put it on and wear it all day kind of thing? Or is that sort of another thing where I could take it? I know you can wear it all the time, but could I get an effective dose by putting it on and off if I didn't want to wear it all the time?
Yeah, but with allergies, it's only going to work when you wear it.
Right. And then I guess the follow-up to that is, do you have to wear it forever to make it work? Or do you get to a spot where it's sort of cured the allergy situation and you can kind of decrease your reliance on it?
People that use our tech, they have such a profound effect that they don't want to take it off.
Well, no, I get that, but I'm just curious because I don't know. Do I sign myself up for wearing this for life? That's probably not a bad thing. I don't know.
My wife and I went for dinner the other night, and she's allergic to wine, and I said, "Well, do you want to?"
The poor woman.
Make a choice: enjoy the food and taste it, or enjoy the wine. And so she always picks the food. And so we turned on the Nikki, put on the allergies, no issue.
That's wild.
And she had a glass of wine.
I'm from outside of Napa. Wine is a condiment in our house. There's no way I'm on that. That's such a tragic allergy in my house. That'd be awful. And I would have to have 17 of these on my wrist if I could drink wine with it.
And so to answer your question, do you have to wear it all the time? No. When you have Lyme, you need to get past the Lyme before you start using it.
Well, I think that was the genesis of my question, because you said like you get to a point with Lyme where it feels like you kind of are out of the woods and you can kind of dial it back.
When life comes at us pretty fast and furious every day. And so I wear mine every day and every night to deal with the things, the hits that the body has taken in the sympathetic state during the day. Like you need something to help combat that. And the only time you can do it naturally is when you sleep. And so we wake up those natural things in your body so you can heal while you sleep.
That's crazy. And then the other thing I noticed is on your site, you mentioned a couple places that it's EMF free. Did you find that people looking at your product were sensitive to like,
oh God, Lyme disease patients? Yeah, they like, God, I can't be in this room where you have to unplug that thing. Like, I've heard it all in my office.
That's right. And that's what happens is they can't deal with the EMF. So what we do is, you probably won't be able to see it on here, but there's a little red right where you see the Wi-Fi.
yeah,
Once you've downloaded the frequencies onto the device,
you can just clip that.
Goes dumb.
you turn that off, and our device produces 0 EMF.
Wow.
Well, people with Lyme, they won't wear it.
Well, that's funny, Matt, because Matt has a sauna at home. I have one at the office, and low EMF is often, like a feature of these, and it's for those patients. It's for those Lyme patients, those super sensitive patients.
Well, I'm a big believer in, my family uses this app called Yucca that you could like scan like, body lotion and shampoo, and it gives you a score from 0 to 100, right? 100 is like, this is the best thing ever. And 0 is like, you should not use this. And it's based on a variety of factors. Like one thing is fragrance. We're not really sensitive to fragrance. So I always have to look and find out what's bringing the score down. Because if it is a fragrance thing, then I can kind of look past that, especially if it's, aroma oils or therapeutic oils or something. But other things like BPAs or, any kind of petroleum based things or things that are bad for marine life in the wash off or anything like that. Like, it's a nice thing to be able to know we can do. But basically, like, that process got me really cognizant of, it's not necessarily one or two products. It's the fact that we use a variety of similar products in rapid succession throughout the course of the day. And we do it 7 days a week, right? So when it comes to EMF, I don't know that I'm particularly like I'm definitely not sensitive to it, but I have an Apple Watch. I'm getting on an airplane today. I'm going to have my noise canceling AirPods on, right? Like, I've got a cell phone that sits next to me all day long. Like my laptop, I got one of those Cornet, RF meters, and found out that if I turn off my Wi-Fi, my laptop goes to about 1/10 of the EMF emissions that it does with the Wi-Fi antenna on. Simple decision. Just when I'm at my desk, which I'm at most of the time, turn off the Wi-Fi, just do hardwired. So it's definitely one of these things where I'm like, all right, if I do 10 things and I can eliminate the bad thing from 8 of them, then that's better. And that's what I kind of really like about you being conscious of that, because now I'm like, all right, well, at least this isn't compounding against my Apple Watch, which Apple's real dodgy about telling you what the SAR value is. If you've never noticed that, they're not super transparent about that. So,
okay. Well, the government, people make it hard for us to be totally transparent with what we have. Our tech, we can be that way because we're not treating anything.
Sure.
We're not putting a substance in the body. And so it works out. We're pretty safe products. There's not much that I don't know of anything that could go wrong with the tech. You're going to hurt.
Yeah.
If you don't have good drainage, you're going to have an uncomfortable time when you have Lyme. When you're running the other programs, if you're detoxing or if you have mold, you could hurt a little bit as well because it's trying to get rid of those toxins.
Right. And when you say hurt, you mean like you're uncomfortable because you're trying to purge all this crap out of your system.
That's right. When my daughter, she broke out in boils.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Matt, it's not fun. I have a patient who, when she hurts his hard, she'll wake up the next morning, her lymph nodes are visible, like they're pushing out of her arm.
Oh, wow.
It's horrible.
Yeah. And so we deal with that. And we're the only company on the planet. And anybody that uses our tech seems to overcome. And you could not buy that tech back from them.
Wow.
They don't give it up.
Yeah. Right. Now, is yours you say there's the programs. Is it like a subscription or something? Like after you buy the device, I assume that there's a cost for the device. And then is this a tiered thing? Like, how does it work?
No. Right now, we had to start somewhere.
Sure.
And we were going to start with a membership. And about a month before, I thought, you know what? Let's not do a membership. Let's just go and keep. Our goal is always to get the price down. Our Lyme program started at $2,500.
Wow.
We've got it down to $1,000. And our goal is to continue to push it down, because there's three critical things that happen to families with Lyme disease. One, their health gets destroyed. Two, families split over Lyme disease because half will believe it's real and half won't believe. And so they split. And
That's
the third,
wild.
it drains your bank account. And so we take those things into consideration, knowing that we came from that. We didn't go to develop a program that was going to generate all this revenue and all these good things. We just went after helping the people. I could have stopped when I got my kids better, but I met so many people with Lyme disease in the same boat as I was. How can you stop? If you think that you've got a solution, you've got to let them know. I mean, this is these are life and death situations for people. And
yeah,
take that very serious.
How did you get it down? Like, what was it just like building at scale, or like, how do you pull that price down?
Well, 2016 tech wasn't like it is today. And
right.
So
okay.
We were able to continue to get things smaller and to volumes. All of a sudden, you get price breaks with volume, and
Sure.
when we get those price breaks, we pass them right down, knocking the price off the product.
Got it. Oh, that's cool. That's exciting. Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm also glad to hear that, because we talk about it on the show a lot. Like, you could live forever, but only if you've got unlimited money.
Yeah.
Right?
If
If
you're the richest man in Babylon, you're going to live a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is sort of like a weird reality that, hey, yeah, if you got enough money, that a lot of things can be different. And that's definitely a hard pill to swallow. Just because I'm like, well, it's neat to have a show where we get to talk to people like you about this stuff, but like, it's also, the reality is there's a portion of people out there that'll just never see this tech because it's just out of reach. Not yours. I'm not picking on you. This is in general, right?
Yeah. Well, we keep it pretty low, and in the future, if there is a subscription program that comes in, we would price it in such a way where the first year it would include the Nikki.
Of course. Yeah. Got it.
But the second year it'll be low, because we've got hundreds of programs coming to the market. And so we want everybody to have access to everything. And so we're working on that right now. So the next time you have me on your podcast, I'll have a little bit of a different story, because our goal is to make it affordable for everybody.
Yeah, it's a very interesting tech. I'm actually wondering how I could test something like this, because we're always playing with gadgets we find on the show,
and it's pretty cool, because I see even the non-Lyme programs, right? You get quite a lot for, let's say $500 with, including the band, right? That's not too bad.
Oh no, that's shifting, because we had to start somewhere. So we built 10 programs for Lyme and 10 programs for general wellness. And that's the packages. But we're not going to do packages anymore, because you've got the 10 programs for general wellness, but you might only use 7 of them. And so we're going to open up our catalog and let people choose the ones that they want. But we had to start somewhere. And we started with Lyme, and it worked. So go ahead.
No. So when you get into we've talked about Lyme disease. That's a pathogen-based thing, right? We talked about wellness, but you've been talking about sleep and sort of anxiety, not pathogen-based, but also like chronic, I guess, in a lot of cases. What about something that's like a little bit more mechanical? Like, is there something that you guys have envisioned or on your roadmap for, say, like ATP or mitochondrial health that is a little bit more reactive at a mechanical level?
We just launched last week our mitochondria.
And that's fascinating.
We haven't released it to the general public, but we were at a large event. And when we go to these events, we'll take the theme of the event and provide a package of frequencies that fit the speakers.
Oh, that's amazing. That's very clever of you guys. That's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good marketing.
And then they come to our booth and they start muscle testing. And these are all practitioners. So it's not the general population. And so they'll come and say, I've got Bartonella. So I brought my partner here. He's gonna muscle test me. And so they turn on the device and they buy right on the spot when they do that.
That's so funny.
And I had one guy come up and he says, my wife has Lyme disease. I'd like to bring her over and test her. And I says, yeah. And he brings her over, and then he says, I've changed my mind. I want to test her for the arthritis in her knees. He says, which program would you choose? Well, he kind of caught me off guard a little bit. And so I said, I think that I would start with the vagus nerve program because we just launched that last week.
I gotcha.
Oh man, it muscle tested absolutely profoundly.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really good that they get to come in and validate our tech.
Sure.
And that's no different from people that have these other wearables. Like if you have an Oura ring, you're going to wake up with a crown every morning with our sleep program.
Right. I imagine.
These different devices that are tracking are confirming that our tech works. So that's one really cool part.
You know, it's funny. My wife is the nocebo queen. We call her because she's basically like, nothing works. It's all bullshit. Fuck everybody. And like, she can't sleep at all. So I'm like, actually curious if I just like slide it on her wrist one night and be like, all right, like, let's see how it goes.
That's
you know,
right. You make her a little bet.
Yeah, exactly. Now
Because
you're talking my language.
We know you're going to sleep. Like there's nothing quite like it. And what we do is we don't take the approach of melatonin or taking some kind of medication to help you sleep. Our approach is I de-stressed your organs.
Right.
And so you get to relax. And when you get relaxed, we learn this from dealing with concussions. If you want to deal with a concussion or with PTSD, you have to get your brain relaxed in order to deal with the inflammation. Otherwise, you're never going to really deal with it. You may get a little better and it becomes your new norm, but you didn't deal with the issue. And we deal with those issues, and we deal with them by relaxing the organs. And so when they're relaxed, now your parasympathetic can kick in through your vagus nerve and start healing naturally. Like, we're just discovering so much, you guys, with how the body can deal with issues if you just give it a little help. And you don't have to give it a substance. You can give it a frequency, which is just information. So we're just we're speaking to the body in a different way. When I capture, so we're with a group that they're doing a 2-hour documentary on frequencies. And this is going to play on lots of networks.
Love it.
Launches in September. And guys on there are like Deepak Chopra and Bruce Lipton and Lee Aaron Keneally, and I think they might even have Joe Dispenza, I'm not sure. But they invited us to come, and we're the only technology delivery system that they invited. Everything else is talking about frequencies, and they've named us the Wellness Technology of 2024. And that launches in September, which is going to be extremely interesting for us.
Sure. No, that sounds great. Yeah, when we follow up after the show, if you can share that yet, we'll post it on your page. I was
ask that. Yeah,
we'll throw it up a link on there too. We're real into like spreading the proverbial gospel of our guests. So if there's something you hit
us both differently. You name dropped Klinghardt, and I was like, oh yeah, I know who that is. And then you started talking about something else, and I watched Matt's eyes light up. So you might have 2 more customers.
Well, the mitochondria thing is real interesting because 2 things keep becoming recurring themes in my world. One is frequencies, which is one of the reasons why I was so interested to have this conversation, because everything seems to be frequency based, right?
That's
and we have a friend who has this crazy chair, and it's and we're going to have him on the show soon, actually. But he actually goes, I mean, the guy who wrote his music, it lives in a temple, like a pyramid in Tibet or something, because he found a place with the energy, the frequency that he needed to do his music. And his music is all like sort of, I guess we could dumb it down and say binaural based, right? Like there's but that the entire
so many layers to it. Yeah.
Symphony is based on frequency, right? Like it's like the entire thing. I mean, the whole thing, and to the unindoctrinated, it just sounds like woo woo hippie music. There's a didgeridoo in there or something, it's a rain stick somewhere, it's like and yet at the same time, if you were to sort of pull it apart at a frequency level, it's extremely intentional and multi-layered, like Tom was just saying. Yeah. And like there's a whole community that's just learning that this is like the way, right? And then mitochondria is the other side. I mean, I've been reading a lot of a lot of articles on things that are saying like cancer is a bioenergetic deficiency. That's it. It's not a an actual physical thing. That's just its manifestation. It's actually like a bioenergetic issue. And if you can fix that, then the cancer wouldn't come at all. It wouldn't even be a function. And so like, it's just super interesting because then I see like, okay, well, what happens if these start to collide, right? Like if these two worlds sort of overlap. So it's just really fascinating on my side because 10 years ago, Stephen, nobody would have, half this conversation would have been like,
yeah, we would have been,
who are these crazy
ran out
people?
of town. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, that's why it's taken us as long as we have, because 2016 is when we validated that it worked, but it's 2025.
right.
And last year, we got significant validation with practitioners in the US. Significant.
Yeah, 10-year overnight success.
I love that when they're like, overnight success. I've been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned an Einstein quote. One of my favorites from Tesla is, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what it is, and that's what he's doing.
Sure. So what's next for you guys? I mean, now that you kind of cracked the code on the how, is it just basically like what else can, how many frequencies can we put into this sucker? Is that like, or you got something else going on or what?
Well, that's one of the things. We've got patents on our technology.
Cool.
And I've got 5 that are pending. And one of our prototypes will be done next week. And we're extending the shelf life of produce in grocery stores by 2+ days by imprinting the water and the lights.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
This is profound, you guys.
I was like, I thought you were going to put a watch on every apple.
So is this?
No, it's not a watch. But you know what we have done with this? Strap it on a horse's neck that has Lyme disease. Gone.
That's wild.
Wow.
And it's funny because one of the rabbit holes I'm down is PEMF, and there's like this very fine line between equine and human PEMF. In fact, in some cases they are, in some cases they are indistinguishable. Actually, it's just a function of what device you're throwing on your body. But
well, our focus right at the moment is the parasympathetic, making sure that that's active, because people that have Lyme, it's dead. It's not active at all.
What causes that? You've said that a couple of times, and I haven't been able to peel that back yet.
Well, we're learning a bit about it, but you're always, when you are with Lyme, you're always in fight or flight. You're always right to the max.
So you're toast. That's it, really.
That's right.
Yeah, got it.
That just shuts it all down. That just shuts everything down.
Wow. That's wild. Stephen, I cannot wait to play with this a little bit. I really just love that you took time out of your day to come talk to us. It's been awesome. This tech is super fascinating to me. So
we love what we do. We are changing the way people heal. And people are lazy. I mean, we are. We want things right now. We don't want to have to really work for it, even though we want the result.
You don't hear me arguing with you, sir.
The result, but we still go through all the steps. And so you just wear the tech, you get better. And
that's great.
You can't get easy. It doesn't get easier than that.
Sure. I love it. Cool. So let's tell people where to find you and all that neat stuff. Let our AI scrape it all. Like, figured. Where do we find you?
On wearenikki.com.
And just to let everybody know, that's Nikki, because I actually spelled that wrong, although Google's amazing and got me there anyway. But I
love our name. People really like our name. And there's a little story.
I was just going to ask, how'd that come out?
Let me tell you a little story. My president of my company, her name is Nicole, and everybody calls her Nikki. And so we were sitting around one night thinking of a name for the product. And I said to the team, hey, we should call it Nikki. Everybody loves Nikki. And I was just joking. And everybody laughed and then went back to work. But I didn't. I Googled it. And Nikki means victor of the people.
Oh.
I believe that's what we do. Nikki is the victor of the people. And so I asked Nikki in that moment, I said, look, I got to come back to the name. Outside of these walls, I'm going to ask you to use your name, Nicole.
Sure.
In these walls, they can call you whatever they want. I don't care, but I want to call the product Nikki. And it's stuck.
That's great. Actually, what a fortuitous definition outside of that. I mean, it's like, what a great way to, the universe sometimes.
Similar to Nike in that case, the same root.
universe just kind of whacks you on the head sometimes, doesn't it? It's like, yep, nope, this is it.
Like, the name was clear. I mean,
yeah. It is definitely clear that, Aura, it's funny. I love Aura Ring, but OURA. I mean, it's easier now because they've got Super Bowl commercials and stuff, but before they had that, everyone's like, how do you spell that? And people are lazy, but they're also not all that bright sometimes. Yeah. so spelling is an issue, especially in a post.com. Everybody bought every name. So you have to spell everything all fucked up and sideways and
leave out E's and stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great, man.
Thank you. And I can't wait to have you back and hear about the next thing. So,
well, we've got lots on the go.
Awesome. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you again.
Man. Thank you.
Take care. You bet.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so was following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.